Alright, hello everyone. Just going to go over my league starting build for PoE2 0.3, the Rise of the Abyssals League, because it's not that popular. I haven't seen too many people playing this on ladder, and it's remarkably effective and very fun. So I initially started with the idea that this build would be terrible, and I would need to use the new Witchhunter node, the Weapon Master, to basically run a separate build for single target, but no, it turns out this is perfectly fine. So the build is utilizing Permafrost Bolts and Fragmentation rounds. Both of them were changed in this patch. Permafrost Bolts has a massive amount of more freeze buildup, as you can see. 584% at my current gem level. I haven't got a level 20 gem because I'm lazy. It literally is just because I'm lazy, actually. How much are they? Quick detour. Okay, I can just buy one of those. I'm going to do that.
It right away.
I'll use it for my frag rounds. For the
Fragmentation.
damage. Alright, lovely. So, anyway. Yeah, so it converts an amount of its physical damage to cold damage, and it has a massive amount of more freeze buildup. And the fragments can merge, meaning that you can shotgun with them. So it fires a spread of fragments, and enemies hit by it will be frozen very, very quickly. Then, what's changed with fragmentation rounds is that they now have a secondary mode where they can consume the freeze on a frozen enemy to make an explosion of shrapnel. This can also merge, and if you look at the attack damage multiplier on this, it's pretty high. 2,234%, which is a huge amount. And it converts all of its fizz to cold when it does this. It makes a secondary explosion, which also does slightly more damage, and more damage with hits for explosions originating from a unique enemy. Very, very strong multiplier. So it uses that. The general gameplay is in maps. The Permafrost Bolts and Herald of Ice, along with the Witchhunter Explosion node, is enough to do most of your clearing. You very rarely need to use fragmentation rounds, maybe on a particularly tanky rare, and if you do that, you just switch to it and fire. Attack speed doesn't matter that much, it's all about reload speed for how fast you can do it. And the Permafrost Bolts, I'm increasing its ability to clear by having like some level of chaining from terrain, and also having it fork, which is very strong. So it clears very large amounts of things with Herald of Ice also, and the explosion from the Ascendancy. You can get pretty solid screen clear if the enemies are close enough together. So before I go too much more into it, I will just go into a quick map. Yes, okay. Just to showcase it. I've done most of my... I'll do one of these. I've done most of my boss killing that I need to do. So this is going to be a 10 difficulty boss on a 6 mod T15. And yeah, this build is cleared max difficulty Zesht and King of the Mists. I haven't done enough of Simulacrum or Expedition to get their bosses. Though I will say this build is not that good for Simulacrum because the Delirium mobs cannot explode or be shattered, which is incredibly disappointing. So the clear is terrible. So yes, as you can see, the clear is just, you kind of run around shooting your Permafrost Bolts. It's pretty simple. It's mostly one button. There was a rare there, as you can see. One of the reasons I went for Witchhunter here is because of the explosions, but also because of the fact that the explosions from the Ascendancy have a double chance against undead, and Abyss enemies are all undead pretty much. So there's a rare, I just switch to fragmentation rounds and they're dead. The build is a lot tankier than you'd think, despite being evasion based, because of the fact that having no enemies able to move at any point is a pretty good defensive layer. So yeah, you just kind of keep walking around, firing, You want to keep moving because there are some passives taken that have various different effects while you're moving. There's another rare, just shatter them. I'm not going to full clear this, I'll probably ignore the rituals and the expedition, it takes a while. But I do want to demonstrate, you know, the build's capabilities. Yeah, so I will say it's not the world's greatest bossing build, it's perfectly serviceable in bosses. But it's not going to, you know, one-shot 10 difficulty map bosses right now. There's definitely a lot more upgrades I could do, but I'm doing this video now instead of, like, I was going to wait until they released the hotfix that fixed the bug with crossbow weapon swapping reloads. It's like a really annoying bug where your bolts don't reload properly when you swap weapons. So I was going to wait until that got fixed, and then I was going to reconfigure the tree to have actual multiple weapon sets, because right now it's just the one tree. And that will probably help the single target a bit by being able to really focus more into the damage on that second tree. But it doesn't really matter at the moment, so it's kind of fine. Yeah, as you can see, this build is great for breaches, great for abyss, great for anything with high monster density. Like, you get really big shadows like that one. I believe that the explosions, because I have damage as extra cold, can actually cause some level of chaining with Herald of Ice. Like, there's no, I don't have Pulse Circlin on, or how you pronounce that item, but I feel like I'm getting, like, chain explosions, despite that fact. Pick that one up. So, it's, yeah, I don't think I would need much more clear, frankly. The build is relatively fast. I could absolutely have better boots. My boots don't have like max movement speed, and there's none of those crazy ones that you can make right now with the soul core effect on the exceptional bases. So it's, yeah, it's not quite that good. I'm safe. Why did they make Gwennon rude? She used to say, "Oh, local, I need your aid." That's just come here. What happened to her? Let's just chuck it on here to see what the explosions are like for this.
This'll stop them.
Yeah, pretty good. As expedition monsters are also undead, typically, so it's, as you can imagine, that makes the clear once again quite good. Yep, okay, that confirms it. They are definitely undead because the mercenary is calling them bag of bones. Okay, so the rotation on bosses is a little bit more involved because you want to be squeezing as much damage out as possible. So you want to throw down this, charge up a plasma bolt to shock. Fix that again. Now, don't stand in the attacks. Freeze these buttons, bang, 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 bang. Then here you just spam attack, and then they're dead. You actually got color flooding. So yeah, it's pretty, that wasn't my greatest execution, but the damage is still good. Again, that was a max difficulty boss in a 6-mod tier 15. So that's pretty good. It's definitely enough for your clearing needs.
This is all we have. Gold is useless to me.
Wow,
Take
that's
it.
a lot of damage types. Anyway, so
Indeed.
with that done, let me go over the actual build. I will go over the gems first. So the stuff in crossbow shot does not matter. these gems are just there to get my gem types up for this node, which gives you various different stats if you have 10 of each of these colors of gems. So it's just to hit the max life one, because I wouldn't have enough strength gems otherwise. So my weapon is in slot 2, so there's nothing in slot 1 right now. My weapon is in slot 2, and that's because Fragmentation Rounds is using Rigwald's Ferocity, which is 30% more damage if used in weapon set 2, but less attack speed. The less attack speed is not that significant, to be honest. Again, we're gated where it's not just attack speed that matters for this, it's gated dually by attack speed and reload speed. The other gems are Elemental Armament, Cold Attunement, Elemental Focus, because it doesn't really matter for that, and Close Combat 2, because you're going to be shotgunning anyway. For Permafrost Bolts, we've got Ice Bite. This is just more damage most of the time. This was basically always up. Again, Elemental Armament, Fork, as you could see, that helped it clear a lot. Cold Attunement, and Freeze. Freeze is actually really nice for your pinnacle bosses. It's not, there's a very good reason why this is the last gem I put in. It's not that important, but against like Zesht 3 and stuff, it is really nice to have. Herald of Ice has Overreach. For anyone who doesn't know, it specifically says it can't be evaded, so the downside of Overreach does nothing. Cold Attunement, Elemental Armament 2 again, Cold Mastery, although you could replace this with plenty of other things, and Ele Focus, because it can't freeze anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So, we've got Plasma Blast. This is here just to apply shock. This applies a 45% shock against all enemies, including pinnacle bosses. It's got shock for more shock chance. It's got increased magnitude of shocks, but they're reflected back to you with overcharge. That's fine. They're going to be frozen while they're shocked anyway, so they're not going to be dealing damage to you. Increased shock duration. It also has more shock duration on the equality, and multi-shot 2. This is for consistency more than anything. And so yes, this is just to apply the shock. Mortar Cannon here is a totem that fires a grenade. The grenade it's firing is Oil Grenade, which applies exposure, so that's minus res. And we've just got Persistent Ground and Potent Exposure on this. You don't really need anything else. I could put more stuff in here, but whatever. The other one is Gas Grenade. This is not necessary at all. I've got this because it's here to break armor, like Corrosion and Armor Demolisher, and then Cooldown Recovery. It's here to break armor, which doesn't do much to your initial hit of Fragmentation rounds, but subsequent hits will have far more physical damage, so breaking armor does increase your damage for that. But you don't need this at all. You could replace this with something else. We've got Overwhelming Presence. This could be also any number of other things. On it, we've got Precision 1, Vitality 2, Clarity 1. Emergency Reload is a damage buff. It's just prolonged duration cooldown recovery. This is just more damage. So you use this before you fire off the freeze-breaking Fragmentation rounds. And then Wind Dancer for more evasion. That's got cooldown recovery for the Gale Force activation, the Shockwave, Blind for the Shockwave, and Punch Through, which puts a debuff on enemies that cause the next projectile to deal increased damage. So yeah, those are the gems. Next, we'll go on to the gear. So for the gear, just got a solid crossbow. I bought one myself with decently high PDPS. You could definitely do better than this. These tiers are not great. And I essence slammed it. This essence is broken. This is so strong. Notice how it's all attack skills and not all projectile skills. That means that it actually applies to pretty much everything. As you can see, it's applying to frag rounds, yeah, gas grenade, that's an attack, permafrost is an attack. Herald of Ice has the attack tag, so this increases its level by a lot as well. So yeah, that's really strong. And Wind Dancer has the attack tag as well, because the buff here does attack damage, but Wind Dancer's levels actually don't do anything for the evasion rating, it just affects Gale Force. So yeah, it's got that. I used an essence on it. an abyss thing of it, and I hit reload speed, I used something that guaranteed a Kogel mod. I was trying to hit something else, but reload speed is actually fine. The helmet, you'll notice a lot of people using this. This is basically the new deepest tower. It's very strong. It basically, if you have a perfect roll, it makes it so that you are always surrounded. Although for this build, it's actually fine to use one with 4 fewer instead of 5 fewer, which costs like 5.5 divine less, because you're pretty much always within the right range. You just have to take, for consistency's sake, this node here that increases surrounded area of effect. So this is giving us a huge amount of modifiers. As a mercenary, we're in a good starting area for this. This wheel here and this wheel here both have a bunch of stuff while surrounded, along with these 2 small nodes. I'll go over this when I look at the tree, but it's very, very strong. This is a huge amount of damage. It gives movement speed, it gives survivability, it gives life regen, it gives so much stuff. This is incredibly strong. Next, I'll go over the body armor. This is just high evasion with some res. Simple as. The ring, I'm going to replace my other ring with something like this soon as well. It's just cold and fizz damage to attacks, and some res, a bit of strength. Attribute requirements are a little bit tough with this, because you need high strength for overwhelming presence, relatively high int for Herald of Ice, although its requirements were lowered in this patch, so it's not as bad as it used to be. And then of course Dex for Wind Dancer. So you've got 3 single attribute skills that you need to scale. Although Wind Dancer, again, it doesn't matter too much with levels, it's more like the buff doesn't scale. So yeah, this is just flat damage. Flat damage is strong. I'm going to quality this up more. I've been slowly working at it. These gauntlets are a holdover from when I was doing hybrid armor and evasion, but I really don't want to... I can't be bothered buying something better than this. You do need the leech. This uses a lot of mana with high level skills like this, but Fizz Leech is fine because you'll notice that you still deal a bit of physical damage with Permafrost Bolts, which is cool. It doesn't convert all of its damage to cold, so that will give you a little bit of mana, and then Fragmentation rounds sustains itself just fine. It does huge amounts of fizz damage per hit. So yeah, you need the mana leech on some part of your gear, otherwise it'll be way too annoying. Amulet is just fixing my attributes. This is actually a terrible amulet, but whatever. Fixing attributes. Spirit was the main thing. I wanted to get some more auras in. This is fixing resistances. This is also not a very good ring. The boots, deflection rating, some res, some movement speed, some evasion, some life. Very simple. And the belt is fixing the rest of my things. I slammed 2 terrible mods on it, which is very upsetting. Charms, we've got Sanguis Hero. I will replace this with Fall of the Axe later. Fall of the Axe is just a little overpriced right now, but this is fine. Charms are not hugely important. We've got a stun one, that's the only one I think that is important, and then Forsaken Bangle, which is the Chaos Recoup one. In terms of resistances, I am capped on all of them except Chaos. I could, with some very minor reconfiguring, cap Chaos with another Soul Core of Takati, but I couldn't be bothered. I'm making this video now because I've got Silksong to play, to be completely honest with you. So yeah, that's the gear. As for the tree, for the Ascendancy, I've gone for the Culling Strike. There's a bunch of nodes down here that increase Culling Strike threshold and do a bunch of other stuff. The Concentration and then the more damage node, this is just good for single target, if you could believe it. And then of course the explosions. Then the rest of the tree is getting my attributes. We've got a bit of chain. This chain is actually kind of nice. Again, you're firing like 12 projectiles a shot with Permafrost Bolts, so some of them will chain. We've got the two-handed weapon nodes here, all of those. We've got evasion rating, and then invasion rating if you've been hit recently. We've got the movement speed stuff, reload speed. You need all the reload speed you can get because both of these, all of your bolts have only a single bolt loaded. We've got herald damage and AoE, deflection rating stuff here. Here is this is not a very good jewel, but it's got pen, so teehee. I could definitely get a better one than this. Here is the first of the surrounded trees. So these small nodes give 30% increased evasion rating while surrounded, which we always are, and 25% increased attack damage. These two are armor, they're not necessary. This one is regenerate 2.5% of life, and this one is 20% increased attack speed. Both of those are very strong. Down here we've got the node I mentioned before, that's just percent life, percent movement speed. The mana is not that important. These nodes are a little bit of armor. Percent of your evasion rating is extra armor. I don't know if this is important. You could probably get rid of these for more deflection. This is attack damage while surrounded, and this one is also attack damage while surrounded. You can basically ignore the rest of it. It will be active sometimes, but it's not that important. Here, it's just AoE for attacks to scale the explosions. Here, we've got a Heart of the Well. This is... basically, you just want to use like a count search and look up the list of modifiers and look for a bunch of things that might be helpful. Here, damage is extra cold is a lot of damage, and evasion rating from equipped body armor is quite nice. Damage taken from mana is a tiny amount of tank, and 6% reduced effect slowing potency of debuffs basically doesn't do anything, but it looks nice. Here we've got evasion and armor while surrounded, attack damage while surrounded, attack damage while surrounded, reduced accuracy rating, and huge amounts of increased attack damage. The accuracy rating doesn't matter, we've got enough of it. And this is 0.5 meters to dodge roll distance and increased movement speed while surrounded. This one's really nice. Here we've got the chance to not consume a bolt if you reloaded recently. This is really nice when it procs. And increased damage for with crossbows for each type of ammunition fired in the past 10 seconds. In your single target rotation, this will be 75%. Here we've got another not very good jewel. These nodes are Cull Strike Threshold, Immobilization Build-Up, which is freezing is included. Culling Strike against Threshold against immobilized enemies, this is pretty nice. Recovery on Kill, this is really nice, you want these. And then some more Culling Strike Threshold. This is these are all move speed penalty reduction while using skills reduction. This is just makes you a little bit faster while clearing. And this is also just nice to have. If this procs on your freeze-breaking fragmentation rounds, it's a bunch of extra damage. This is all elemental damage. This is pen. Pen is good. We've got more build-up. This probably isn't that important, but, you know, it's one node. This is deflection rating and evasion rating. This is also deflection rating and evasion rating. Deflection rating feels very good. And then finally, we've got the anointed Primal Sundering. There are probably nodes that are slightly better than this, but this one's relatively cheap. It just requires one of the three good emotions, distilled emotions. So yeah, that's the tree. What else? Oh yeah, a bit of rationale here. I was initially making this hybrid and trying to scale both armor and evasion because there are good armor evasion nodes. A lot of, like, you know, that's what Mercenary really kind of gravitates towards. But it felt kind of too difficult to scale. Like, there's too much gear affix pressure to scale both the armor applied to elemental damage and the deflection rating, and it basically ended up doing all of them poorly. So now we've got a pretty high amount of evasion rating, 13,000, 14,000 while moving, which you pretty much always are. So it's a really high evade chance, and then very high deflection rating, 52%, 9,000 deflection rating. This feels really good. I'm quite pleased with deflection rating. I don't die very often. If I do, it's to my own stupidity against a pinnacle boss. So this has been a pretty tanky build. I'm level 93 right now. And yeah, I've gotten there pretty easily. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. I do recommend playing this. Another benefit of it is that you can play this skill combination from very early on. It's one of the first skill combinations you can get as a mercenary. If you look at the gems, you see both Permafrost and Fragmentation rounds are level 1. And I started with this, and then I just kept on playing it. It was very strong through campaign for my League starter. I had no issues at all. It never struggled. I didn't die a single time in the campaign. It is just really comfortable to play. So yeah, I don't know how many other people have made videos explaining this. I think this is a relatively short and simple one, but it's a damn good build, and it's really, really fun. I highly recommend, if you're watching this after they've pushed the hotfix to weapon swapping with crossbows to, you know, separate your passive set trees to a clear-oriented one and a damage-oriented one, that will help with both of those, but right now I could not be bothered because weapon swapping is annoying. And yeah, there's definitely more upgrades, more damage on rings, a better weapon, because again, these are pretty low tier fizz rolls, and you can make the suffixes really deterministically using some of the new omens. So it's like, you could make a way better weapon than this really easily. There's a lot of room for improvement here. So yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I will do my best to answer them when I'm not playing Silksong. And yeah,